Hello and welcome everyone. What happens when an ambulance carrying an injured player breaks down on the field? How does Simone Biles, the most famous athlete in the world, react when she meets a tiny little bee? Here are the 15 strangest and craziest moments that happened in sports. Do you recognize this hair? This Brazilian defender is very famous for his antiques and his wide smile, which he always displays and in all circumstances. The legendary good humor of the Brazilian had even earned him his nickname of Greaser, or eccentric in England, when he was still playing for Chelsea. David Luiz is one of those rare footballers who can be recognized at first sight on the field, thanks to his great size and his corpulence, and especially thanks to his magnificent hair, which is always disheveled. On this hilarious sequence, you can see this young joker at work, as he commits a nice prank on a TV presenter. While he was doing his report in front of the camera, the incorrigible David Luiz comes out of nowhere and grabs him at arm's length, lifting him completely off the ground. The poor journalist was certainly not expecting this, hence the expression of intense dismay and surprise, which you can read on his face.
In virtue of that, we have 3 players. Oh! Not in.
Steve Mandanda is undoubtedly one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and it is certainly not the Marseille fans who will tell you otherwise. This 37-year-old goalkeeper is indeed the most capped player in the history of OM, and his magnificent saves have allowed him to be elected best goalkeeper of the League One 5 times. Like a true Black Panther, his reflexes are lightning fast and his senses are always on the alert, and few footballers can boast of scoring against this almost invincible goalkeeper. But if you still doubt the efficiency and talent of this young goalkeeper, we let you watch this revealing sequence. While he is in the middle of an interview with a sports journalist, the former OM captain saw a small bottle of water coming, probably thrown by a hysterical supporter. The projectile, spinning at full speed, could have easily knocked out the puny sports reporter, but it was without counting on his ace of guard, who was standing next to him like a real garden angel.
On a eu la bonne chance de l'eau. Aujourd'hui, on a eu la chance de.
In the series of the most unusual goals in history, here is the one that had been cashed by Manchester United on April 30, 2017, during a very colourful match against the Welsh club of Swansea City AFC. It was a superb free kick by Icelandic international Gylfi Sigurdsson, who sent the ball straight into the top corner in front of the bewildered eyes of the poor Mancunian goalkeeper. But the absurdity of this goal is mainly due to the behavior of one of the Red Devils' defenders, who had the bright idea to go and stand almost in front of his team's goal, thus blocking the large opening left by the goalkeeper. But for some reason, this player finally gave up this position and went back to his teammates to form a defensive wall. The Icelandic player took his free kick and sent the ball directly to the same place where he was a few seconds before, and that he could have intercepted if he had not changed his position. In this unusual sequence, you will see what was probably one of the strangest and most unusual penalties in the history of soccer. It was in 2005 during a more than stormy match between the 2 English clubs of Arsenal and Manchester City. At that time, the 2 enfant terribles of French soccer, Thierry Henry and Robert Pires, were the joy of Arsenal fans, where they literally formed a real shock duo. But that day, it must be said that this infernal duo had not arranged its score very well, as you can see during this catastrophic penalty. Indeed, Robert Pires was placed to take the penalty, but it was only a feint, since he was supposed to make a mini pass to Thierry Henry, who was going to try to concretize it. But Pires missed the ball completely and made his teammate lose the opportunity to score.
What's he done? Well, he pretended to take it and then didn't seem to take it.
Everyone knows that dogs like to play ball, and even those of you who have never owned a dog know that dogs also love to have their belly rubbed. And this is what you will see on this sequence, which certainly does not miss here, since it is about a brave representative of the canine race, which likes the ball for sure, and a little too much the footballers especially. This almost mind-boggling scene shows us the moment when a nice little doggy managed to get inside a soccer field, interrupting the game to play with the footballers and their ball. The playful canine will finally leave the field under the applause of the spectators. That his little number will have amused will finally, and of which some of them even appreciated more than the match itself. Some athletes have a totally impressive physical strength, like professional wrestlers, heavyweight boxers, or even NBA basketball players. This last category of sportsmen include real human giants with an average height of 2 meters and more. It is thus useless to specify how much these athletes have to struggle with the everyday objects, which were finally cut for normal hands, not for a hand able to grip a basketball of 78 centimeters of circumference. On this sequence, which does not lack comicality, you can see the literal ordeal of Nikolai Jokic, one of the star players of the Denver Nuggets, who is well 2.11 meters for no less than 129 kilos. The latter struggles to fix his microphone during a press conference, but as you can see, the microphone ends up breaking under the powerful grip of the Serbian giant. Fortunately, one of the assistants will come to save him from his mess by fixing his microphone with a new cable, thus avoiding the deep embarrassment in which he was and which was clearly visible on his face. Among the strangest and most bizarre moments in a sport, we can surely count this sequence that seems to come from another dimension or parallel space-time. Judge for yourself, because this time the images are more than expressive, so much so that they could even do without comments. This burlesque show that you see was recorded in Brazil during a very eventful match between two mythical clubs, Vasco da Gama and Flamengo. Under your astonished eyes, it is indeed an ambulance carrying an injured player that these footballers are helping to start after it broke down in the middle of the field. We could perhaps add that it is a little bit the hospital that laughs at the charity, since the Brazilian Championship is not a tournament of district, and that Brazil is also the 9th world economic power. A more efficient equipment, or at least a functional one, is the least we can do at this level. But finally, a good point remains in this video. It is the goodwill of the players of both camps, who did not hesitate to come to lend a hand to push the ambulance, a beautiful example of sporting fair play. You who came to see a compilation of strange and absurd moments in sports, you will be served with this sequence that certainly does not lack excitement. If you are a fan of gymnastics, you will have already recognized the beautiful athlete with ebony skin and who proudly sits on the first place of the podium. It is indeed the sublime American Simone Biles, the most decorated gymnast of all time, with no less than 19 world titles and 4 Olympic titles for a total of 32 medals, 23 of which are gold. This fearless champion is not afraid of adversity, but there is, however, an opponent who, although tiny and practically harmless, horrifies Simone to the core. On this sequence, you can indeed see the incredible reaction of panic of this world champion when she realizes the presence of a poor bee on her bunch of flowers. You can see the expression of the most intense terror on the face of the young gymnast, who jumps all over the podium trying to get rid of this poor honeybee, which finally only wanted to collect some pollen from her flowers. You may have thought that women are not really cut out for sports, and that their physique does not allow them to accomplish athletic feats. Well, think again. There are women who are so strong and powerful that they could literally leave you speechless, and whose sports results far exceed those of other male athletes. Take a look at this footage from a women's volleyball match for the United Volleyball Federation. You can see right away that the players of the red team are struggling like real devils to achieve the perfect spike. But it was without counting on the pugnacity and the incredible efficiency of the players of the other side, who were really determined to not let anything go by. Admire now the literally hallucinating power of this excellent defender who, by countering a smash, sent the ball directly to the ceiling of the stadium, where it probably remained until the end of the game. Women's soccer fans, here is a sequence that will make you tear your hair out of your head in frustration. But considering its strange and incredible character, we decided to present it to you anyway, because that's what today's video is about, isn't it? This funny scene took place during a match counting for the Swedish Championship of Women's Soccer. And as you can see on the counter of the match has just started. But here's that a succession of incredible events occurs. First, the goalkeeper who makes a very bad clearance. Then, a defender wanted to save the situation because the ball was going to go out in corner. But she would have done better not to touch the ball, because as you can see, she sends it directly in the net of her own camp, in front of a public totally stunned by so many clumsinesses made in so short time. Soccer is certainly not a sport where all tricks are allowed, and the numerous rules governing it are the guarantors of the good progress of the matches. But as the old saying goes, war is like war, and some footballers do not hesitate to use some very nasty tricks to get their way. Fair play is certainly an essential quality in soccer, but it seems that the Dutch international Joel Veltman has completely forgotten it. On this almost revolting sequence, you can see the underhandedness of the former captain of Ajax Amsterdam, who will shamefully deceive his opponent. Indeed, after one of Veltman's teammates was injured, the latter pretended to want to stop the game so that the attendants could enter the field. The defender who was blocking him turned away, thinking that the Ajax striker was simply going to take the ball out of play. But no, the Dutchman put the ball back into play and launched a lightning attack towards the opposing woods, which fortunately did not end up in the end. Now, another sequence even stranger and more inexplicable than all the previous ones, and which therefore deserves to be included in this anthology. This bouncing and gesticulating maniac is none other than the Senegalese international Moussa Diagne, playing as a pivot in the Spanish Basketball Championship. The player, probably pushed by an excessive zeal, decided to do everything possible to destabilize his opponent and make him miss his shot. And if for that it is necessary to wriggle on the ground like a grasshopper, well, the valiant basketball player will do it. Even if it means making a spectacle of himself, because he knows well that the ridiculous does not kill finally. And here is another rather intriguing moment in soccer, which this beautiful young woman who tries by all means to find her way to her lover, the young German footballer Julian Draxler, she will finally find her dear man, revealing her admirable beauty. We let you admire this beautiful couple, and we tell you on the next video.
Lots of money, not cheap here, to come to Brazil and be part of all of this.
Yeah, and this is a golden generation, Ian. The players you just mentioned who unfortunately missed this through injury.
Now, tell us in the comments what you think of these 13 extremely strange and crazy moments that took place in the sport. Don't forget to subscribe and click here to watch another of our videos.